Representative Rosendale, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, always good to see you.
And you.
Initially, I was encouraged by the Department of Veterans Affairs press release on March the 3rd, 2023, that announced the relaxation of the masking requirement at the VA facilities. However, I was dismayed to hear that the Montana VA is not relaxing the masking requirements and instead has interpreted the new guidance to enforce mask mandates across all clinics. My office received a policy statement from Montana VA stating that all Montana VA clinics will require patients to wear a mask until a majority of counties have low rates for a consistent amount of time. Quote, the metrics and reasoning are not well defined. Montana has not had a mask mandate for over 2 years throughout the state. Do you think that the transmission rates in Boise, Idaho should impact the masking decisions in Lewis and Clark County in Montana?
I absolutely dig into this. I'm not exactly sure what the transmission rate in either one is, but obviously the intent behind the new guidance is to...
I understand intent, but do you believe, just based on, I mean, everybody talks about hard science, real science, accurate science. Do you believe that the transmission rates in Boise, Idaho should impact the masking decisions in Lewis and Clark County, Montana, which is where Fort Harrison is located?
Yeah, I think that the new guidance gives the local leadership that is the authority to make those decisions based on the local conditions. In as much as Boise is not in Montana, it strikes me as not a local.
Okay, so, well, we have a situation where transmission rates in Lewis and Clark County in Montana are impacting the masking decisions in Carter County, Montana. And these two counties are 8 hours away from each other. The same distance that it is from Boise, Idaho to Lewis and Clark County, Montana. This is what we're being forced to deal with. It's a huge state. You've been there. We have traveled together.
Yes.
And we cannot be utilizing the information from one county 8 hours away to enforce some kind of a decision in another one that, quite frankly, has been determined to be ineffective anyway. Despite the department's attempt to spin their new policy, the mask guidance could still result in veterans being denied care. They're being denied care, and that's unacceptable. Do you support the VA denying veterans medical care over their unwillingness to wear a mask?
Look, I think you're familiar with the strength of my feeling in ensuring that all vets get the care that they need.
Okay, well then we need to send that message down to the veterans hospital and facilities throughout Montana so that they understand that as well. This policy is a disservice to the veterans, and I am going to continue to harp on it and push back against it until the mandate is completely lifted. Secretary McDonough, the Oracle Cerner, our favorite subject, EHR has created a lot of safety risks, delays, and morale problems, severe morale problems at the 5 medical centers where it is currently implemented. You know how strongly I feel that it should not be introduced at any more facilities until all these problems are solved, and as we've stated for the last 2 years, until the system is fully functional. The Institute for Defense Analysis estimated it costs between $33 and $38 billion for implementation over the last 13 years, or over the 13 years. This is more than double the VA's initial cost estimate. More than double. I continue to see change orders and additional charges from Oracle to cover their shortcomings and unforeseen obligations and obstacles. What are you doing to hold Cerner accountable?
Thank you, Mr. Rosendale. I think, as you know, we're in negotiations right now with Oracle Cerner to successfully deploy a fully functional system within 10 years. We're engaged in those conversations right now, and the way forward is heavily dependent on the results of those negotiations. We require, as you and I have discussed both privately and in this setting, efficient and properly functioning system across the entire system. At the end of the day, the vets don't care what technology we use. They just care that we have access to this. So that's what the purpose of the program is. That's what the goal of these ongoing negotiations is. And I'll make sure that we continue to keep you and your staff up to date on that and on any further decisions on, not only on the contract, but once that's resolved, onward deployments.
Okay, I'm about out of time. I would just like to say that literally lives have been put at risk because of that system, and we need to make sure that it is functioning properly, fully functional, before it is rolled out at any other site. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendale.
Thank you. Mr. McGarvey, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Appreciate you being here today. As we've talked about, and as has been discussed, we've talked a lot about the